finding
We're
here.
live, my friend.
Amazing. Hello. Good evening,
Just
everybody.
hop on your.
Let me find.
Oh yeah. Oh, I do have my piano. I didn't even check. What do you know? It's already there.
It's ready to go. Find the live. There we go. Look at the picture.
I know. I don't know how that happened. Pros and cons. Pros and cons. The world blames dad, but it's really your mom.
Ladies. Alright, we got the video up. Chat is going. What up? Chris Hawk in the chat. Hey Chris. Alright. Don't forget to hit that like button, Chris. It really helps out with the algorithms. And then there's a new call-in number. It's in the description below. 818-308-5559. It's a
818-308-5559. Yeah.
So it's just a Google number, but it's a way to get people to call in and not have my personal number. You can only take one call at a time, so if you're watching and someone's talking, don't call. Just kind of
Why will it
wait.
cancel out the other calls?
I don't think so, but
Well, I think they'll probably just get a good old hold message.
maybe.
Good old classic. Call is busy.
Yeah, call back later.
I think that's what happens with any call.
What's up, Daniel and Devin Kagadak?
Are our heads cut off, or is that just the screen position?
Screen position.
Okay, cool.
Devin is saying, play a little Even If I Fall / Circle of Fifths medley. I don't know what he's talking about, but I'm sure you do.
It's because you're not a real fan.
Change this to live chat. Brian Horak. That would be cool if I could do that.
That would be cool if I could do that. If I could do that, that would be cool. Cool.
What's up, Nico June? Says a sick setup. It is pretty sick.
What do you mean sick? Like Corona sick? Like
Did-
COVID-19 sick? What do you mean sick?
Did you
Trying to
guys
say-
hear about the mother who was arrested at the park with her kids? We just watched that
Actually,
video.
I did see that video.
Idaho, Meridian. My buddy lives in Boise, so he lives right down the way from that city.
Yeah, she was arrested while being a mom.
Yep, for playing at the park with a bunch of people. And in the video I saw, everyone had no masks on. Because that was why they arrested
I didn't
her.
see the cops that didn't have any masks.
Yeah, they didn't have masks
They're not
or
being
gloves.
an example.
So yeah, it was ridiculous. It sucks that her kids have to see that. That's traumatic, unnecessary. And that's a pretty based state. That's one of the reddest states in the union.
We're gonna grow up. The kids are gonna grow up their whole lives thinking their mom's a criminal,
Yeah, they're gonna think mom is just up to no good.
or they're gonna grow up hating the police. They're gonna be like, those damn police officers, and we're gonna be over here like, pros and cons, pros and cons. The police are here arresting moms.
Chris Hawk actually lives in Meridian, Idaho. Amazing, man. Yeah, my buddy's from Caldwell.
Nice. Bobby
And
Caldwell.
Bobby Caldwell.
I guess you wonder where I've been. I search to find the love within. Yeah, Bobby Caldwell, ladies and gentlemen.
But yeah, Idaho is beautiful. It's on my list of places I'd move to.
Well, I mean, Anyho's really beautiful.
Anyhow,
Idaho's cool.
yeah. Remember that joke? Where do potatoes come from?
Idaho.
That's right. Idaho, Ida pimp.
Ha!
Chris says he works in Caldwell, and yeah, whoa, that lady was married to a cop. Is married to a cop.
Well, what, is she supposed to get special privileges?
No, but she should tell her husband to go beat the hell out of those officers.
I mean,
That's
I think she
ridiculous.
should. If you're married to a cop, you should get a little more slack. That's the perks in, the pros and cons things.
Oh, he says it was a setup. Maybe like a setup like people who want to get people riled up to fight back. That would be a smart thing to do if these cops are actually really conservative, but they need to use the media to their advantage.
Everything's a damn conspiracy around here.
That would be great. Then we should do that, you know, if we had based cops to.
But then we're no better than Juicy Smollett.
True.
Fake
but,
hate crimes, all that lying crap.
Yeah, because then it makes people hate the cops.
The truth will set you free, man.
Yeah, the cops should just speak on their own behalf and just say that it's wrong and I'm not going to enforce it.
Yeah.
Any Disney songs up your sleeve?
Can't say.
Anything in there?
Can't say I have any Disney songs up there. But feel free to call in and request a particular one. We want to see if this number actually works. We believe it does, but it'll be interesting to see who the first caller will be.
Oh yeah. Let's check. Let's keep that phone.
You gotta have the app open, right?
I think they can just call. But let me open the app just in case. Google Voice. Yeah, so the number's down there, guys. 818-308-5559.
818-308-5559. Pros and cons. The world bends your dad when it's really wrong.
He says it was a setup. Her and her husband's friends are part of a protest movement. Watch it be Earl. Can you bless them with a Jesus song?
Jesus?
Jesus.
Jesus. That's a Jesus chord. It's the holiest chord you can find.
Jesus.
Jesus suspended.
Jesus suspended.
Jesus.
It sounds like my uncle. He's got an accent. It says Jesus Christ.
Nice.
Jesus. Oh, it's Mr. Adamant Dane. He is very adamant.
Oh, what do you know?
Very adamant.
Very adamant.
Devin Kagadak wants to know how you taught your. Did you teach yourself jazz piano? It seems so complex to learn.
Yeah, I mean, I played my whole life. I played piano by ear mostly, but I took some lessons as a kid. I didn't have fun in the lessons because I just didn't have the patience. I was one of those kids that was diagnosed with ADD, ADHD, put on medicine. I couldn't focus to what they would teach me, but what soaked in for me was the fingering. The most important things for me are the fingering, right? Learn your scales and major chords and minor chords, and learning the inversions to each one. Here's major, C major, right? C minor. And you go up the scale to the next one, you know, a half step up, major scale, right? All the inversions, minor. Right? And then you just learn those. And then at least have a foundation of some kind.
Yeah, he knows a lot, and he's giving me some
I'm
gems.
not saying I know a lot. I don't know shit. I know I have a lot of friends that are a lot better than me. They're actual pianists. All right, pianists. I'm no pianist. All right, I just can play the piano.
He's pretty good though. Like I didn't realize that the black keys, they repeat themselves. It's 2 3 2 3 2 3 all the way down the keyboard, and it's just different octaves as you go up.
Hey, you remember? What do you know?
So
But see, to someone who doesn't know anything,
yeah,
I
that
come
blew my
across
mind.
as though I know a lot. And I mean, sure, maybe I do, but I don't know. I mean, it's like there's there's always levels. There's people that are way better than me, you know.
Dane wants to know how we drink so much coffee and not go number 2 all the time.
How do you know that we don't? How do you know that we don't? That's because you've got that 16-year-old bowel.
Yeah, you got that GI tract of a
You know what
baby.
I'm saying?
You don't have a man's tract.
You grow a beard.
You know, yeah. When you have a real proper beard,
You know what I'm saying?
your
You
body
just
can
start
handle the coffee.
drinking that coffee a little more without worrying about your bowels loosening.
Black Toria is in the chat. Jennifer Gutierrez, welcome.
Black Torias.
Devin says, thank you. It's just the chord extensions and jazz harmony and when to use it that gets you.
Well, he knows some terminology, huh?
Yeah,
He knows about extensions.
Sounds pretty smart.
And I bet you Black Victoria knows about extensions too.
Hey, it's your hair if you paid for it.
It's true.
That's right.
It's my coffee if I bought it.
That's right. So that is your hair, ladies.
Yeah, I mean,
Trevor, can you play any Bowie? David Bowie, I'm guessing.
I can't say that I can, but I have a Bowie knife. But no, I'm not into what's the word I want to say? I don't know. It's like glam rock.
Yeah, I guess David Bowie's kind of glam rock. He's one of those guys who wore makeup and seemed kind of feminine.
He had long hair.
Like Boy George,
but he had the muscles to distract you.
And then glittery clothing. And
he's like, trust me, young man. Yeah.
But he did make Labyrinth, and that is one of the best movies.
It's a good movie. It's a good movie. I haven't seen it in a long time. I'm not a hater or anything.
Yeah, Labyrinth and the Dark Crystal. One of the best. How did you get into rap?
How did I get into rap? I've never rapped.
Rap got into him.
I'm good at wrapping Christmas gifts.
Black Tory is doing work and listening. Well, thank you for listening while you work.
Are you whistling while you work?
Do you know any Prince songs? I see the purple fire in the back, and it was just the anniversary. Oh, yeah, he did. It's the anniversary of Prince's death.
Yeah,
Yeah,
how does it go?
What song is that?
I don't know how it really goes.
I don't know. Prince believed you ever see those videos of Prince talking about chemtrails? Purple Rain.
Yeah. I don't remember the casual and a sorrow. What's the chorus? Oh yeah. I never meant to cause you any pain. I wish I knew all the words to the song. Only wanna see you standing in the purple rain. I sound like Tina Turner.
You kind of, but it sounds good.
I've never played that song, but I've heard it a million times.
He's also in the Magician movie with Hugh Jackman and Tesla. Yeah! What's that called? You seen that one where he plays Nikola Tesla?
I haven't seen it.
Not the Prestige. Maybe it is a Prestige.
Prestige Worldwide?
Prestige Worldwide. Why? Purple Rain is, I guess, are these chords? Looks like 1, 6, 5, 4.
Probably so.
Probably.
1, 6. Oh. That's what I was playing. I played in a different key.
The fireplace looks like something from a scene in That Ass Though. I can see that. He was a hardcore Jehovah's Witness, all bad. Well, it's all good, you know? Some people feel like a nut. What happened to Scorpion on Instagram? A little slow, but he's still alive.
It's there. I gotta post more Scorpion videos. It's hard to keep up with everything.
Scorpion.
You.
Yeah, don't forget, there's a number if you guys want to call in. If you got the nuts to call in.
If you got the strength and the light within to call.
And you don't got to agree with anything.
Yeah, we're just here. We're hanging out. We're talking about stuff. If you have any questions, it's like call in and say, hey, man, what's up with this? What's up with that? We just want to talk about it. That's it. opportunity for us to hang, talk, and hear your perspective. And guess what? It's okay. You're allowed to have perspective. You're allowed to think what you want. And the key is, don't be angry.
Yeah,
We're
don't
not
be angry.
Too many people are triggered, and we want to hang out with people who are not triggered. And if you are triggered, save the crying for after you hang up.
Yeah, just get to know yourself. You shouldn't be angry about anything. We don't have to agree. Just don't get pissed. Devin says, sorry I keep asking music questions. Don't be sorry, bud. I just really respect your level of artistry, and I've been studying your music to try and understand that jazz
No, I
sound."
appreciate it. Thank you. No, don't be sorry. Please, I'm flattered. If you have questions about anything, I'm down.
Yeah, it's an open forum. Ain't no question too strange. How many coronavirus does it take to screw in a light bulb in American? I don't know.
One, because you got to keep 6 feet. You're not allowed to have more than one person screwing a light bulb because they're too close. Come on, man.
Dane wants you to learn how to play Beach Boys. God only knows. God only knows. Oh, shoot. Ba-da-da-ba.
How's that? The word chord.
Dun, 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 dun.
I will
May not always good, but as long as there are stars above you,
I don't know how it really goes. I gotta learn it.
Yeah.
I do have to learn it.
I'd be so sure about it. No, we didn't go to Huntington Beach. Or are we roommates? No, just mates.
Hey, mate.
Australia mates.
Hey, mate.
Did you, I'll call in a bit. Alright. Brian Horak says no. What's the answer, Brian? Said it wrong. That's how you typed it. How many coronavirus does it take to screw in a light bulb in American?
In American?
That's how he wrote it. I'm just reading what you wrote. Oh, now he says it. I typed it wrong. So it wasn't said wrong. It was typed wrong. It's alright. I forgive you. What's up, Kristen Jr.? Lights. Flashing lights.
What you talking about? For the guy with the music questions, all you have is a major or minor chord, right? That's all you have. Say C major, for example. You have a major chord or a minor chord. And inside that, you have the 1, the 3, and the 5. The 3 determines whether it's major or minor. half step below becomes a minor, right? So the 1 is the root. So the 5, that's the extensions that you're talking about. You can extend the 5, so it's still going to be a major or a minor. You raise 5th, so you'd be a sharp 5. A 6, dominant 7, a major 7, then you're back. So if you notice the pinky now is the octave, then that means you can use the thumb, lower the thumb, and do the same thing as extension. So you can go. Right? So you can do minor too. And then there's suspended chords, which means that you're suspending whether it being major or minor. So it's like it brings tension and then resolves to a minor or a major, and that's a suspended 4 because you go 1, 2, 3, 4, resolve, and then you could have a suspended second, which is the same thing, but it's suspending from the second note. So 1, 2. And you can do that with any chord. So. So yeah. Pros and cons. Pros and cons. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it's very quick, but I feel like it sums everything up pretty easily.
What's up, Big Bump?
It's only 12 notes.
Big Bump is in the chat. Chris Hawk has a question out of Idaho. He's asking, what is going on with the homeless in LA since COVID?
That's a funny question. I haven't heard anything about the homeless people, but supposedly we're supposed to stay in our homes, right? And not go out anywhere. You could get in trouble if you don't wear masks. Homeless people don't have homes. I mean, at the rate they're saying that this is all happening and this virus is an epidemic, I feel like all the homeless people should have it by now. But I haven't heard anything about any homeless people at all. And I still see homeless people around.
Yeah, there's a ton of them. I mean, up and down the LA River area. Like,
yeah, nothing's changed. They're not wearing masks.
There's these big shanty towns, just like 100, 200 feet of tarps and tents, and you know they're not doing anything about them and trying to force them to do anything. They're not finding them. Obviously,
I feel like homeless people are living the life almost because they don't have to pay $2,000 in rent a month.
So no taxes.
No taxes. They don't have to, they're allowed outside. They don't have to wear masks.
People get out of their way.
They can poop on the sidewalk if they want to. It's like they have more rights than the law-abiding, tax-paying citizens.
Yeah, it's all upside down.
Weird, man.
We have somebody from Colombia, Irvin Yesid Redondo Dominguez. That's a long name. What's up, Irvin? Irvin! Devin says, thanks for all the tips, man. Your music genius is awesome. When I become a big-time movie music supervisor, I'm for sure hiring you to write songs and score my movies.
I appreciate it.
That's awesome, dude. Adamant Dane, I only got WhatsApp. I don't have like actual service provider international. I don't think my call will go through. I don't think. Colombia.
You always try.
Coca. Homeless getting bolder. Yeah, dude, there's a lot more. He has this app called Citizen, which is like an app I have called Nextdoor, and it's just like it lets all the neighbors in your area post, kind of like a Facebook for the neighborhood. And there's been a rise in crime, more weapons, more assaults, robberies. It's all ticked up since the shutdown. So yeah, not really helping much. There's an interesting bit of news we saw about the 6 or 7 states that didn't shut down for their quarantine, and they are doing fine. They do have less people per capita, but they've done the regressions, they call it, where they account for how many people they have versus California, which has a lot more. And they still are doing fine with infection rates, death rates, and they didn't have to lose their economy and take a dump and have people lose their savings and their jobs and their income. So a lot of strange things happening, being revealed. coronavirus death rate much lower than thought. Exactly, Brian. Even Stanford admitted that they pumped up those numbers. New York Times admitted they pumped up those numbers. You know, left and right. It was all overreaction. Do you remember how to play So Fly by Snoop Dogg and Nate Dogg? Why do you think they did a quarantine if the numbers were false?
Why?
What are some thoughts
Well, I
you
mean,
have?
there's some things that are revealed along the way. Like now they're really trying to push stay-at-home voting. So, voting from home.
Yeah.
That's a justification.
There's no way to prove if those votes are legit. You can come up with all kinds of names and stack addresses. I got people who've tried to put their name on my address all the time. I get
Yeah.
mail for people who don't live where I live.
I've been having issues with my mail for the last few months because I haven't been getting any mail. And I gotta figure out why.
It's not a secure way to vote for things that affect you and your wallet
I mean,
and your
anybody
family.
can walk up and down the street and steal mail.
Yeah, send your ballot in and done. Here we go.
Oh, we got a caller.
Let's see.
Put it on speaker.
This could be a spammer or...
Could be a bill clip.
Oh, it is a call. Let's
To
see.
accept, press 1. To send a voicemail, press 2.
Let's accept. What's going on?
What's up, Brett?
Who's this?
This is Brian.
Brian from the chat.
What's up, Brian?
This is Brian Horak.
Where are you
Not
from?
much, guys. How you doing?
Good, man. All is well.
Where are you
I
at?
just turned down the volume here. So I'm real time.
Real time.
Where are you from, Brian?
I'm from Kansas City.
Kansas City.
Kansas. Dude, does everybody say, "Oh, we're not in Kansas anymore," and you slap them and say, "Shut up"?
Oh, ha ha ha
Never heard that before.
ha! Not once.
Never.
Never heard the Toto joke. Never heard the Dorothy joke.
Never.
How bad is it in Kansas with all this quarantine nonsense?
Oh, it's pretty stupid. Just kind of like maybe most of the country, I would say. But we're getting through it. We're getting paid more than we usually would for some reason.
Wow.
That's okay.
Well, that's
Amazing.
nice. Yeah, I'm not upset about anything because I'm not allowing, whatever happens in the environment to control how I feel inside. But it's interesting to watch and observe and see what's, I'm not attached to anything, even to what I believe or think and I see. But I notice there's a lot of people that are like very passionate about it, and a lot of how dare you people that are like, how dare you, the graves that have been dug from this virus. When all the numbers, they're slapping COVID-19 on things that have nothing to do with
COVID-19?
COVID-19. It's like you could be on your deathbed 3 weeks away with cancer, and then they'll say, oh, you got COVID-19, and they'll say, if you have COVID-19, it doesn't mean that's the cause of death.
I have heard that. That is an interesting subject. And I'm not saying it doesn't exist. It
Right.
probably does.
Yeah, I think it exists.
Yeah. And I think it does too. But we have seen some strange stuff going on, and it still is, it's a bad thing. Other diseases are also a bad thing. But we
Yeah.
don't shut down the entire country for it, do we?
Exactly. We lost more people to obesity and cancer, but we didn't close the economy for that
Correct.
last year.
Correct.
Yeah, people don't, the common flu and other things, like they don't inflate the numbers. They don't talk about it and put it under a microscope in the media that nobody cares. But because they're doing that with this, all of a sudden it's like, oh my God.
Now the question is, why are they doing this? Why is mainstream media all about it? Why are other people that are usually on the left about it? We need to ask these questions.
Yeah, I mean, I got some theories. I can't conclude, but I got some ideas.
Yeah, and I know that, anything that with the media, they like to, anything that's fear-mongering, that's going to make them, have the opportunity to where you're at home watching them afraid, and you just need to keep feeding yourself, because everybody's out of a job but them. They got a good job right now, so there's
That's
one
right.
thing.
There's definitely a form of control. When you're scared, then you can be controlled. If you have fear, you're subject to whoever is fear mongering.
Well, it definitely could be. And the next thing we need to start looking for, if I may, is the vaccines for it. Who's funding the vaccines?
Exactly.
I.e. Bill Gates.
Exactly. Eugenicist.
And-
Your body,
and-
his choice.
Yeah, and Dr. Fauci, who has been funded by the World Health Organization, who has had its funding cut off by Trump,
Exactly.
and the second biggest funder of the WHO would be Bill Gates.
Yep. Right
These are all
behind the United
coincidences,
States.
aren't they?
Yeah, I've been saying, like, Bill Gates needs to figure out his Windows viruses first before he tries to impose human being viruses.
Yes.
Brian, have you looked into the history of Bill Gates' family and how his dad was on the board of Planned Parenthood and a big eugenicist?
Oh, of course. Of course. You know, I'm a big fan of Alex Jones and Infowars.com, and there's a lot of good information that I would recommend to the 17 people watching now.
You heard him.
And people always, they created that word conspiracy theorist to make people discredit anything that sounds like that. I mean, conspiracies are real things. People do conspire, you know?
Of course.
But yeah.
That's what they do. We got a bunch of conspiracy. You're a conspiracy. You have a conspiracy with your keyboard right now.
Yeah.
We have a whole problem with government that we need to get rid of. And I personally, if I could say, going out on a limb, ostracizing myself, I think Trump is trying to put an end to that. And I'm a Trump supporter.
Well, good for you
Yeah.
for being not afraid to say it because, you know, people get triggered by that.
I mean, this country was founded on a conspiracy to rebel against the British.
You could say that.
You know, people conspire to do good things and they conspire to do evil things.
Hey, that's just a theory.
Yeah, I believe that if there's a possibility, you know, signs point towards Trump having slowly but surely cut off funding to a lot of things that people didn't realize was going on, like human trafficking, wasteful money, this World Health Organization, things that actually worked against us for years, and spread anti-Americanism. And he's been really good about it. I mean, I wish he'd move faster and just arrest some of these people if he has cause to. But he has certainly cut off the funding, which is important to a lot of these anti-American organizations.
And you guys are in California, right?
Yep, California.
Yeah, Los Angeles.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that.
Thank
I know.
you.
That is a
And
good place for. That is a good place to be when you're, I guess, when you're in show business and.
Well, the thing, I'm
music and
born
stuff
and
like that.
raised here, and I've seen it just change completely growing up, and it's crazy, man.
It used to be a red state.
Yes.
So it's
That's
bitter.
true.
It's hard because I'd like to move, but at the same time, it's home. So it's like it's hard to just
Leave your home.
get up and go.
Yeah. Yeah. Your friends, your family, your history. Yeah,
Yeah.
I understand it.
Well, most of the
It
friends,
sucks.
most of the friends have turned on me, but that's okay. It's given me a more understanding about people in general. If they disagree with you, people with anger, if they have anger and they disagree, then they'll turn on you. Eventually, they'll turn.
Yeah, anger. That's the problem. It's ignorance / stupidity with the anger that becomes the problem. Now, if people are willing to listen to you and hear your point of view, they'll either, if they're the type of person that does not have anger, they'll either accept you as you are and still be your friend, or come around to it, start to incorporate it into their life, which is what I think all smart people do, is take in information from people around them and see whether or not it helps them in life.
You know, I totally agree, and I do have those select friends that have totally different beliefs than me, but they're still open to hearing what I think. They don't hate me for it, and it's like I'm that way. I like to hear all perspectives because I like the truth. I like, figuring out what's the right thing, and that's it. It's not because I have this agenda and a bias and that I want to stick to a party or anything. Like, I don't really associate with any party kind of. I realize that you're either a bitch on the right or a son of a bitch on the left. So I like to find, just gravitate towards those people that aren't angry. Because you can find anger on either side.
That's right, and it's a big problem, and that comes from something else, man. That's like a deep-rooted thing from maybe childhood or some other trauma.
Spiritual. It's a spiritual thing. You know, people. When you're an angry person, even if you got a little bit of anger, and you get pissed at somebody for having an opinion that's different than yours or stating a case that you don't agree with, you automatically judge them as being inherently evil or wrong or with a malintent, and then everything after that is colored. You wear this. It's like you're wearing these glasses and you see them differently. Every action, every word, and you just judge them. You don't actually just hear it, observe what they're saying, and take it in. You can, just take it. You don't have to accept it, but just listen, hear it out. If it makes sense, great. If it doesn't, it doesn't. No big deal.
That's right. Well, and we're all judging, and that's fine. It's just, again, it's the anger part.
Exactly.
If they get rid of that, just let it go. Chill out.
Yeah, no, and I realized that judgment, there's a fine line because judging somebody has a feeling attached to it, where you feel some kind of way about that person, like a resentment or something, and discernment is it's just recognizing whether you accept it as right or wrong, and I think there's a difference, and I think there's a difference between judging somebody and discerning right and wrong,
Yeah, exactly.
Like, I don't carry.
Do that.
I don't carry the little box that I created in my head and put somebody in, and I'm thinking about them in that box all the time. It's like whenever I associate with people or talk to people, every day is a new day, and I take what they're saying, as face value, as opposed to well, last week you said, I don't hold on to that stuff, and I think a lot of people do.
God bless you both. This is the conversation I think a lot of people need to be having, and I think that this happening more and more. And this whole coronavirus thing, which I did comment on a little bit, is helping people to stay home, helping people to talk with their kids now that they are in school and homeschool them, and have their children come up to them and say, "Hey, Daddy, when are we having family dinner now?
Yeah.
Because I love you."
Yeah.
Yeah, I totally agree, man. Being by myself, because I used to have roommates, and I used to, because I'm a musician, I was at my parents' house for a long time, and when I finally became on my own and, was by myself, that's when I grew the most. And I saw, someone on Facebook post, being by yourself is dangerous. Like, if you're by yourself too long, and I was like, it's not dangerous at all, it's a healthy thing. Like, what about the Buddhists and people that are alone and meditate or whatever?
Jesus went out and stayed by himself for 30 days?
Yeah, sure. But it's the thoughts. It's your ideas and thoughts that if you have those bad thoughts and stuff that are seducing you into being suicidal, or I don't know. That's the problem. It's not being alone.
Yeah. People can, especially at a time like this, people can, uncertainty can breed a lot of things in the human mind where it can go to negative places, and you might mess your own life up. You might even kill yourself, and that can happen. I think statistically over tens of thousands of people that'll happen to whenever there's a mass unemployment event like this. And that's another reason why we need to open the country up.
Right.
Yeah. Yesterday.
Exactly. They don't factor in all the problems that are occurring from, or that can occur from everyone being at home, and even the mask thing. If everybody's wearing masks, that means that there's going to be more robberies and more illegal activity because people are unidentified. They're unidentified. They could just steal and they have a mask on.
Yeah. Yep. Going into the bank. Usually, when I go to the bank, they're like, "Sir, take off your sunglasses, please. We need to see your eyeballs.
Yeah.
I need to know you're not high right now." And now you can just wear a mask, a scarf, eyeglasses, everything, and just because it's all virus. It's virus. And now they're going to use this for the rest of time, conceivably, to shut down the country or do whatever they want to do. Get you forced vaccinations. They're going to get you maybe a card that says you had a vaccination or that you have antibodies to it. It's opened up now. It's a Pandora's box, and it's not good.
How do you feel about? Do you have children, Brian?
I do not yet.
Okay.
But I can imagine what it's like to have them. And I know that people think that if you don't have children, that means you wouldn't understand it, but I think some people can. Like myself.
Yeah, because we have been children ourselves.
Exactly.
So we absolutely can understand. You don't need to be married to understand marriage, nor do you need to be what it would mean to be a father.
Yeah, I mean, if you just have compassion, if you can see other people, if you truly have a respect for other people and the well-being of the entire planet, then you can know those same ideals as if you had children. I think it's the same thing.
Would you, if and when you have kids, do you plan on vaccinating them?
Never.
Amazing.
Now, I've heard there's two different types of vaccines, the clean ones for the elites, and then the ones that have mercury, formaldehyde, and all those other things in them that you don't want. You can actually read in the inserts that they don't give to you willingly. So I believe in the science of, what do you call it?
Attenuation?
I can't remember the term. The science of that, I can't remember right now. I'm drawing a blank.
Yeah, and by the time they would have
getting the virus, getting antibodies to it, and then being immune to it from that.
Yeah.
By the time they would have a vaccine, I'm no expert. I don't have a white lab coat, but I'm thinking of ordering one on Amazon. But by the time they have a vaccine, don't viruses mutate? Won't the vaccine be, like, once the virus mutates into something else, then the vaccine's no good, right?
Exactly, good point. And there's other COVID viruses, such as the common cold, that do mutate very often, so that a vaccine would be, pretty much useless.
It's always useless.
I'm understanding.
They can't cure the seasonal flu, so what's the big deal? They're not going to be able to cure this one either.
Correct. Again, it's just, I think, all these things that we're seeing, it just kind of leads to, it's an election year, we have the greatest economy in the world on record.
Exactly.
We've had, I don't know, it's very suspicious. It's
I know, absolutely.
The timing is
and I think most of the world can see it. It just doesn't appear that way because the mainstream media tries to paint the picture like they're the world and they speak on their behalf. And they silence everybody,
right.
So it doesn't look like it. But when you go on social media and you look at Trump rallies and how many people are there, like, most of the world is seeing through the bullshit, I think.
The Great White Hope!
The Great White Hope!
Exactly.
Dude, by the way, I love your beats on the JLP show.
Oh, I appreciate it.
Those are fantastic. As soon as I heard that, I was like, who is this guy? I thought it was someone on the show. I thought it was a black person. And I was like, I found your channel, a couple months later.
Well, thanks for checking it out, man. I found Jesse, and at a perfect time in my life, and he helped me out in my life, and I realized that all the stuff he was talking about, though he talks about the black community, I resonated with everything he said because it's universal, the laws of, the order of life and everything like that, and I wanted to give back to Jesse, and I didn't have really much money, so I decided that I would just start making him some songs, and one thing led to another, and then before I knew it, he's like, let's put this on Spotify, and now he's an artist.
Awesome. That's a great deal for them because that,
exactly.
I heard that and I was like, what was the first song I heard? I think it was like He Black. He Black.
Yeah.
Oh, that was the first one you heard.
Dude, that's hilarious.
The first one I made was Amazing.
Amazing.
Yeah, the first one I made was a remix for that song. I think now he uses it for his merch advertising.
Yeah.
When did you first
Just great.
find Jesse Lee, Brian?
Oh man, I would let me think here. I think that I would say maybe in the last year and a half, something like that. And I just started watching his show, watching the guests on it. I like his order of questioning. It's always entertaining. And then people are like, he's like, do you love white people? And they're like, I love all people. And they just keep saying it over and over and over again. I love that. It just goes to show you, man, that like if they ever took over and they started, because it's all brainwashing, like government can control the entire nation. And if they got a groupthink going and they can increase the population of minorities, and if it ever exceeded, say, Europeans or white people, they could literally just make them start killing everybody.
I mean,
like any inverse situation of that.
Yeah, I mean, you think of Rwanda, the Hutus and the Tutsis, they were all black. but they were just different ethnic groups.
That's a good
but
point.
but they riled up one group against the other and set them upon them, and it was just bloodshed. Like, that's nuts. I mean, it's an extreme case, but it's an example of people turning on each other. And in that case, they look just like each other.
And it's happening in South
Oh, yeah.
Africa, as Jesse talks about. That he has the guests on from South Africa who talk about the white people's homes being taken away with no compensation. Families are being killed. It's like it's
Yeah.
because people need to understand that it's not about payback. It's not about getting even. It's about the present moment right now, and that we need to let everyone holds on to history so much, and they have that resentment, and we need to just live in the right now without any forgive and forget, and live in the now. But yeah, you're right. I think people would want to pay back and get even with people that had nothing to do with history in the past.
That's that anger coming, that's that problem of anger.
Right. And you can foment that, and it's not even like, 2 days ago, let's say, you didn't even think about it, and then all of a sudden you start hearing all this propaganda, and you start thinking, oh, yeah, they're right. Oh, God, yeah, I'm going to kill them all.
Yeah.
And then you get into it, and
That's
there's
why I
like
got the
evil.
knives.
I mean, look at Antifa. When I was younger, I'm half. My mom was born in El Salvador, and I was half white, half Hispanic. But I was kind of forced to identify with that Spanish side because it was starting to be very uncool, and you got picked on for being white, especially where I grew up in LA wasn't the best area. So you pick a side. You pick the winning side, whatever side you think is going to get you through school easiest. And so I used to think Che Guevara was cool and all that leftism, but it just makes you really angry. And if I didn't wake up, I could easily see myself being like those Antifa guys. Or it's just not hard. Once you're pissed off about something, you start to get righteous and think that you can just start judging people and off with their head. So not hard at all to foment that.
And that's a good point, because if you are a mixed race, you are an asset to the liberty movement, and that's hilarious, because you could actually you don't even need to really make sense. If you have a skin color and you say something contrary to the liberal agenda, people will believe you.
Yeah, and people that are mixed, if white privilege exists and it's so great to be white, then why don't people ever claim their white side?
Yeah.
I never hear anybody that's proud of being white, but they'll always claim the other side.
Yep, that's right. Well, that's what's in right now. And again, white people are attacked. This is the age of white people being the attacked ones, the reverse racism, if you will.
Yeah, the great
I guess
saving.
it's our turn.
Sorry?
I guess it's our turn.
It's our turn.
But I'm Irish, so technically
That's our word.
I'm Irish. Weren't Irish the slaves, and didn't this country be built on the backs of Irish
Yeah, they used to
people?
look at Irish like trash. Even in Gangs of New York, Scorsese, was honest about that portrayal. They were not welcome here by the Native Americans.
They are trash, bro. You're trash.
Get out of here.
But see, my identity doesn't come from my heritage or my skin color or anything like that. My identity comes from God, because I love what's right. And
Amen to that.
I don't have any bias about, all the thoughts that I've collected in my life to put in my head about who I am. It's just all ego crap. I know that 0 is my favorite number. I want to just be present and not, hold on to any worldly identities, so that I can operate from 0, man. And God is in
That's a good point. That's a great point. And I think that the first question, if you're the type of person to be very worldly, or you just kind of care what your friends think, or you care like what the world thinks of you, then this doesn't apply to you. But you need to get out of that box. You need to move to the box of the first question in your mind needs to be, how did we get here? How did it all be created?
Right.
How did it come to be? Was it evolution, or was it God? Because those are the two.
Yeah,
evolution is bullshit.
No,
It's
I agree.
I agree.
laughable.
The greatest question of all is, what's the meaning of life? And I realize life is empty and meaningless, and we are meaning-making machines, and we create meaning to everything. It's like this skull. I got this skull over here, and you could look at it and think that it means death, but that's only because I made it mean that. It could mean life too. It could mean a a skull of a human being, whatever,
Yeah, and that's it. There's meaning in everything because you were given meaning. You were given life. You have meaning. You have God as your Father. And this is it. You need to realize that. As soon as you realize that, life gets easier. You don't care about death. You're free.
Yeah, you have there's no fear when you, like, I mean, that was the biggest thing, like, finding Jesse and waking up. I think the best thing you can do is just let go of fear and playing God, and life just gets easier. There's nothing that's going to get in your way, you know? Things pop up, but it's just a situation.
Right. And if it does, that's fine too, because that's the destiny for you, if you will, and you can use it or you can lose it. You're gonna benefit from it, or you're gonna fall from it.
Right. And you know, I'm a fan of science. I'm not like, I don't put my trust in science, but I'm a fan of the fundamentals of studying and observing and you know. But at the end of the day, like the whole spiritual thing with good and evil, like those are forces at work, just like gravity or anything else that you can't see, forces unseen. It's like, it's the same thing. So I don't know why it's so overlooked, that like religion and good and evil and all those things. It's like, it's obvious. We live in duality. It's up or down, left or right or wrong, on or off, day or night. But the intellectual people want to be like, it's dusk, and here's why. If you have a dimmer switch, and you're in the light, you know, you at the end of the day, it doesn't matter, is the light on or off? Because there's going to be that point where the light's on. It doesn't matter how dim it is, it's still on or off.
That's right. And once it's on, you'll see all those people that don't matter in the shadows. There's something blocking them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's all mainstream scientists now. There's at least, what is there, like 12, 13 dimensions that they've discovered as like a consensus of the scientific community now. So the spiritual realm was there. I mean, if you want to look at it from the science point of view,
I believe
you had to do that.
I mean, even the light spectrum that we know that we can only see so much of the spectrum. I mean, which means that there's things we can't see. You know, our animals, you know, that know where to migrate to. I remember reading as a kid that they proposed the idea that maybe they see things we can't. Maybe they can see the magnetic ley lines. It's not just a gut feeling that they know where to go, that they can actually visualize something that we can't see.
Right. But now in 2020, we're concerned about, it's 2020. If you guys just want to come, that's fine. Dick ain't gay, you know? So we got to throw some dick jokes in here now and then, just to keep people entertained.
Yeah, it's an interesting time. I don't know. We're just gonna see what happens.
Yeah, I'm just sitting back and observing like a movie. And
sometimes you gotta do that. Sometimes you just gotta know it. You gotta retain the knowledge. You gotta process it. Put some of it on the back burner. You gotta put some of it on the front burner, and then you gotta act. And then you gotta compile that together, assimilate it, and then you gotta act.
Yeah, you know, like I realized that. You know, I used to kind of want to convince people things all the time, but now it's like it's exhausting. Like, too many people are committed to misunderstanding. So I know there's you know, timing for it, the right time and place to have conversations with people about stuff and not impose on other people that don't want to listen. And I speak up, and that's the nice thing about not having anger, is that I'm not afraid to just say what I think is true or not, because I'm not afraid of what they think of me anymore. And when I live like that, it's revealed who should be in my life and who's going to love me for me, and instead of only while I'm agreeable with them, because I know what that's like too, to tiptoe around other people, especially in this industry. You know, people are, you know, everybody's so selfish that they'll be fake so that they can climb up and use each other as stepping stones, and I'm just not into it.
Everyone's trying to get that money. Thank you guys for listening to Brody.
No
Yeah,
problem,
I
man.
appreciate
Thanks
it.
for calling
We
in,
got
Brian.
Philosophy 101.
Thanks for the support on the music too, my friend.
You're welcome.
All right, man. Yeah, call in. We're gonna keep doing this and just keep this conversation rolling as long as we can. So, God willing,
Yeah.
just stay tuned.
That's right.
All right, Brian.
All right,
Take
Brian.
care, brother.
Be well, brother.
You take care. You guys rock.
Thanks, bro.
God bless.
God bless you too.
Pros and cons. The world says it's dead when it's really your mom. Pros and cons. Pros and cons. Pros and cons.
Let's see. Someone here is. We got another caller. Norristown, PA. Let's see.
Come on.
Come on,
From
Benjamin.
Benjamin.
to
Benjamin.
accept, press
Benjamin.
Voicemail, press 2.
Benjamin, you're on the air.
Benjamin. Well, you can call. My friends call me Ben.
You know what a Benjamin?
Where you been?
How have I been? That's a good one. Never heard that one. Good.
I figured.
You've been better?
What's up, fellas? I love your show. I love watching you guys past couple episodes. It's been a lot of fun. And I like the call-in feature. The last call was great. Tough back to follow up, but I'll do my best here.
Nice.
Thank you, my friend. I'm going to try to position this so people can hear because I feel like they might not be able to hear it.
Wherever you had the last guy, he came through great on the stream, so put me right there.
Okay. Perfect. We moved it a little closer.
Yeah, so if you're on the stream and it sounds weird, let us know. 'Cause
Yeah.
We don't want to
If you're in a chat, let us know if this sounds good.
ruin your ears.
But,
Where
yeah.
are you from?
I'm from Pennsylvania, a suburb of Philadelphia,
Nice. My dad's
called
from
Coatesville.
my dad's from Pennsylvania. Everyone's like, where? Which part? I'm like, I don't know. Somewhere in the woods. Somewhere in the
It's
woods.
a big state. You can drive for like 8 hours and not leave the state. It's
Yeah.
bigger than I think people
It's
think.
either a couple hours or an hour out of Philly.
Is it
So-
like Oregon? It's where it's just a lot more land than there is cities.
There's cities.
Yeah, there's a lot of farmland. Like they call the central part, they call it Pennsyltucky because it's so rural and like there's mountains up there and yeah, it's kind of hairy, man.
And you guys got a lot of Amish in Pennsylvania. Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm right between the Amish and kind of the metroplex of Philadelphia. It's a neat kind of collision of culture.
So you see
You go
them
30
driving
minutes
around?
one way and you see. Sorry, go ahead.
You see them driving around in those buggies.
Yeah, man. I mean, you go like 20 minutes one way and you see people in buggies, and then you go 30 minutes the other way and you're like, you're in downtown Philadelphia. It's nuts.
Yeah, I remember
Great.
when I visited my grandpa and my grandma. We went when we were kids. We would visit and see the Amish town and stuff like that. It was a trip.
Yeah, man. Those people, like my dad used to say, hey, listen, everybody calm down. Anytime there was some sort of like, political unrest or people were scared, he's like, listen, if the Amish aren't scared, we don't need to be scared, all right? We'll get scared when the Amish get scared.
Yeah, if they start freaking out, we're in trouble.
We're in trouble, that's right.
How's it going out there and with this Corona stuff? What's the vibe?
Man, so, I'm white.
He's white.
I live in a predominantly black neighborhood, and it's like people don't really care, man. We're still living our lives. Like I got 4 kids, which actually, Trevor, my kids are the ones you've had them on your Instagram before. They're singing your songs.
That's
the
what
dog
it is.
sing
What is
song
the
and all
No
that.
Manly Card
Yeah,
video?
Yeah, the No Manly Cards and the
that's
dog
what's up,
sing.
man.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they
that
love
was,
you, man. We love your stuff.
That was
That's
amazing.
awesome.
Anyway, so my
video.
kids.
Say what?
They're always playing outside and playing with the neighborhood kids, and they're not social distancing. I'm not gonna trap my children in the house, and so they're always outside playing with all the other kids, and it's like,
Yeah.
I'm trying to make this as painless as possible for them. Some people might call it irresponsible, but
No,
I can't bear to just keep them trapped inside all day. It breaks
Yeah.
my heart. Like I've already been homeschooling them for years. My oldest is 9, and my son's birthday is next week. My youngest
man.
son.
Oh, sweet.
Happy early
2 to
birthday.
9. Yeah.
No, you're
So,
doing the right thing.
Homeschooling is. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, you're doing the right thing. You're homeschooling them. You're making lots of babies, and you're not trying to traumatize them any more than you need to. They don't need any more trauma in this world. Let them be kids.
Yeah, man, that's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to keep things just as normal as possible. They haven't seen too much of a difference. I mean, we got the whole thing where everybody's got to wear a face mask now when you go out, which is kind of nuts. That you guys already touched on. That's a weird thing. Like,
Yeah,
one of the things I'm concerned about is.
It's weird because I've seen somewhere, I think it was Tucker Carlson or something, where he was talking about the studies of states that were not so strict about, staying at home and wearing masks and all those things, and they had the lowest rate for the virus.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, it was like
Huh.
Utah, Oklahoma, the Dakotas. They even did a regression to account for the fact that obviously they don't have as many people as California or New York, and they still had better results. And even Sweden, which has no lockdown in place, and actually had higher infection rates, I guess per capita, still came out better, and they're expected to reach peak herd immunity in a matter of weeks, and with little to no issue to their economy.
I think part of the danger is like a false sense of security. Like if you're wearing gloves and a mask, you might think that you're safe, and so you might actually wind up being more careless because you think you're protected.
Yep.
And then you wind up doing something stupid, either getting your mess on somebody else, or somebody else getting their mess on you just because you think you're protected. Whereas if you were not wearing a mask, not wearing gloves, you'd be very careful, just kind of like, you always are. Like, all right, I'm gonna open this door with my pinky instead of my whole hand, like, stuff like that.
Exactly.
Just taking precautions.
Yeah.
It's very true.
But I just wanna shout out to Trevor and his knives, man. I've been watching you playing with those knives. When are you gonna get a gun, man?
I know, man. I guess I've just been putting off dealing with everyone saying it's so hard right now, and everyone's trying to get guns and stuff. And I don't know. I need to get one for sure.
I've been telling you to get a .45 caliber.
I suppose I'm gonna end up spending like $1,000, but I guess it could come in handy.
Well, do you have any guns? Are you a gun owner?
What are you, a cop?
How many weapons do you have, and where do you keep them?
What's your address?
Are you affiliated with any alt-right organizations?
I think it's whatever tool you can get a hold of to protect you and your family.
Exactly.
I think it's a great idea to have.
One good thing about knives is they don't run out of ammo.
They do not run out of ammo. That is true. And there's some crazy studies on, like, how quickly people can cover ground. And, like, when police train, they're like, it's 20 feet. 20 feet is how far away is close enough for someone to get you before they draw their gun with a knife.
I've seen those videos. That was eye-opening how fast they can close that gap and stab you before you can get a shot off.
Terrifying. So you just got to be aware, use the tools you have available.
I'd rather get shot than get stabbed, though.
Yeah, it just seems.
Yeah, for sure, man.
Better.
If somebody's stabbing you, man, that's personal. Like, they're gonna be right up in there, and they're probably gonna do it more than once. That's oof. Okay.
Yeah, they're just penetrating.
Especially those prison stabs.
Yeah, what was it? We watched that movie Shot Caller, and when they stab him with the shanks, it's just like multiple shanks, quick stabs.
Like, oh man!
It just looks so bad.
It's like a sewing needle, like going in.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Yeah, don't go to prison. Don't go to prison.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm trying not to do that. That's for sure. For sure, man. But I guess one of the things I wanted to bring up was the police response to these suggestions that these governors are having has been a little concerning. I don't know. There's a lot of people out there who have been. There's some friends of mine who have been anti-police for a long time, and I've been riding the fence for a while. I'm like, I don't think they're all bad. Like, I don't think they'll do something totally draconian. I don't think they'll enforce really bad laws. And here come these stupid suggestions from the governors, and they're like breaking up people's church services in New Jersey. Like, there was a Jewish congregation that the cops rolled in and like broke it all up, and it's like, dude. Do you see what you're doing? Like, does this remind you of anything? Like, it's getting really concerning.
No, I agree, man. It's like they swore an oath to the Constitution, and they're basically breaking that.
The Constitution is the law of the land, and people are just happy to give up rights. And so many people on Facebook will come out of the woodwork and defend that. Like, well, it's a special exception. You have to. Listen and do what they say. It's like there's no special exception. It's once you give it up, they don't just give it back.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, freedom is dangerous. It's there's responsibility involved, and that's one of the things that's special about this country is that freedom isn't safe necessarily. Like,
exactly.
Yeah.
there's chances for things to kind of, go away. That it's not as safe. The Karens aren't going to like it, These people who are who are ratting out these churches, it's like, oh, these are the same people who would have, ratted out Harriet Tubman.
Exactly.
Or they would have called on their neighbors for hiding Jews in Nazi Germany.
Yeah, they're the ones who
turning
would have...
people on each other.
Yeah, they're the ones who send you to a firing squad before anyone else, just out of anger and fear, and they feel like they start to be white knights, thinking that they're some kind of savior and they're doing the right thing because they're doing what Big Daddy government says.
Yeah, it's terrifying. I don't like. I want people to take responsibility for themselves and not be such busybodies.
Yeah, man,
does it immediately affect me? Does it immediately affect me? Is it any of my business? And with my neighbors, there's a bunch of times where I could have called the cops on things that were going on, but what I did instead was I went over and talked to them. I went and talked to my neighbors about what was going on. Like, hey, man, you got some weird stuff going on at your house, at night. What's going on? And then we talked it out and worked out something where it won't be so loud at night or whatever. And I think that's the way to go.
I agree.
Don't be so. Yeah.
I think it's weak and it's fear and beta to call the cops. Like, I'm telling Dad, why not just go over and talk? Because I'm a fan of building relationships. You can always be man to man or neighbor to neighbor. I think I missed that, man. Like, back in the day when I was a kid, it's like my parents and in their neighborhoods, they would all the neighbors knew each other's names, and they would be like, it was like an effort in the neighborhood to have each other's back in the neighborhood, and
right.
I feel like nowadays it's not that at all. It's like,
yeah, it's like, do you want to? When you call the cops, you got to remember that you're sending a stranger to another stranger's house, and one of them is definitely armed and afraid of fears for his life, and as he should. And that's the situation you're always setting up whenever you call the cops. So if there's something you can do to diffuse it, if there's a way that you can go and talk and try to work it out, there's always going to be, not always, I mean, there's sometimes we obviously have to call the cops, violent situations and things like that. But hey, your dog was on my lawn. Let's not call the cops on that. Let's just go have a conversation. And maybe if you don't listen, 6-7 times, maybe we got to get some authorities involved, but at least doing your due diligence, trying to be a good neighbor.
right.
Yeah, and not exaggerate
Trying to work those
the situation.
concentric circles out.
Exactly.
Can we refresh that? Just click the link and then refresh at the top. Hit enter.
All right, fellas, I'll let you go. I
All right,
appreciate
buddy.
the opportunity. It's a pleasure.
Yeah, thank you, man. I
Thank you,
appreciate
bud.
you supporting too, and with those videos and stuff with your kids and the music stuff. I appreciate it.
Yeah, happy birthday again
No,
to your
no
son.
problem.
Happy birthday. I hope it's
I
a good one.
appreciate that. Thank you, sir.
All right, take care,
Appreciate
bro.
it. See you guys.
All right, let's see who else wants to get in on this. The number is in the description, everybody. Just give that number a call, and we will pick up. We're going to take one call at a time, but don't be shy. Blacktoria, I know you're in there. You had a question you wanted to talk about, so if you're in the chat, give us a call.
And make sure you guys hit that thumbs up so that more people can see that we're on. Leave a comment. Hop in the chat.
We got
a caller.
Dane from Peru. Dane from Peru. What's going on, buddy?
Yo, hey man, I had to call through here because I don't got a service thingy.
He broke.
What's cracking?
What's up?
I said he broke.
No, it's because international thing. It's stupid expensive to get international. It's just WhatsApp is free.
Yeah,
stuff.
it's all good. Yeah.
And y'all are too boomers to freaking get Discord. Discord's where it's at, man. It's
Don't
what
try-
all the gamers use.
Don't impose on me, mama.
No, yeah, I know. I have heard a lot about Discord. I do.
Don't impose on me, even though it's a good idea.
Yeah, we're gonna figure it out. It's a matter of trying to integrate it with the stream. We're working with this program called OBS, so we could try and get the multi-screens and toggle back and forth.
Yeah, so you could stream on multiple platforms at the same time.
Yeah, that way we're not committed just to Discord.
I got you.
Yeah, for now I'm just using my phone.
I got you.
So what's going on, man? You have any questions?
Yeah. Well, I remember there was somebody like when this show started in the beginning. I just want to say really quickly, dude, you guys are doing a great job, man. I really dig what you guys are doing with the Bond Bros thing, man.
Oh, thanks.
Thank
We
you,
had
man.
to change it to Bros and Cons because there was a little problem with affiliation. We
Yeah.
don't want to,
A couple guys showed up, these Italian dudes. Said,
we don't want to.
Hey, what's
Starting
going
in
on
trouble.
with you? Huh?
Yeah, you-
I heard you were
it's,
doing
we
the
didn't want to
thing,
sleep with the fishes. So, but
no,
thank
they
you,
would
man.
be like some black brothers, like Black Panther gangsters, and they'd be like, hey,
Yeah, they're like.
hey, Jesse,
Don't forget about the brothers, man. The brothers.
it's like, you can't use my name. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, so there was a thing in the beginning. Somebody was really was talking about the music, like with Trevor and stuff like
Yeah.
that, like music stuff. And I had a few questions about music and some stuff. So I'm not sure if he's wants to get into that or not.
Yeah, what's your question, bro?
So this whole year I've been in Peru, I haven't really just been sitting on my ass and like whacking off all day and stuff like that. So I've been spending my time pretty useful in terms of being productive, and one of those things that is actually music, learning studying music theory and stuff like that, and how music works, and music was really scary at first. I thought it was it's kind of like a monster, you know what I mean? It's like this, you think of it as this huge thing that's super complicated, and then I just kind of baby stepped into it, and I realized it's actually not that hard. It's it's pretty simple, in terms of understanding it, you know what I mean? Not being a genius with it or whatever.
Yeah, it's a bunch of simple things stacked on each other to be complicated.
Yeah, how you were talking about earlier about the minor and major scales and stuff like that, and how I think there was a time where you said scales have chords in them, and those chords, they lead to each other, and that's called. And there's a musician, I don't know if you know who she is, but her name's Carol Kay, and she's a session musician from the 50s and the 60s and the 70s.
I never heard of her, but she sounds cool.
She's literally played on hundreds of hit songs. You just don't know her because she's just played in the studio, and she came from jazz, and she was talking about how the key to really understanding music is chordal tones, and I wanted to know if you knew anything about that. Could maybe help me understand it.
Well, a tone is like any note. That's a tone, you know what I'm saying? So a chord is just a combination of tones. A triad is three notes. It's like a tripod is three legs. So, you could play three notes and that's a chord. So like I said, it's either major or minor or suspended. And then you got diminished and stuff like that. But inside the major scale, you got do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. And inside it, if you make a triad starting from the 1, 1, 3, 5, and go up, you got the 1, which is major, the 2, which is minor, 3, minor, 4, major, 5 is major, 6 is minor, and then 7 is half diminished, which is an extension of the 5, which is so really the 7 and the 5 are the same thing.
Yeah, and then and also I just remember hanging when we used to hang out, a while ago. You would teach me a few things here and there, and actually I look back at that and I'm man, it was hard for me to understand it at that time, but now that I look back on it, I totally get what he was trying to tell me, and I you know what I mean? It was really cool that I have that.
And if you play if you play the piano more, it's easier to visualize and see it. But I feel like if you just play guitar, because each chord you play is just the same shape that you're moving up, it's not actually showing you visually harmony and how it's chromatically going up like a ladder. Guitar is just a different way of looking at it, and I found, there are guitar players that that maybe read music or studied theory or went to school, so they see music the way I'm talking about. But for the most part, guitar players
Right.
don't see music in that on that way, which is why I suggest practicing on the piano, or at least trying to figure out certain things on the piano. You don't have to be a great piano player. It just helps understand music and conceptualize the harmony part.
Yeah, I went to college with a guy, and we did a little college rock band. And he was classically taught by his parents on piano, then got into rock music, and he said that it was all piano that gave him an ear for music. He self-taught himself on guitar. He could play bass, drums, any instrument, all based on his piano lessons.
Yeah.
It gave him a different ear for everything.
Yeah, man. I don't have a piano, but I want to learn. And actually, interesting. I learned because I've always had a good idea with guitar, but bass was my first instrument, and I always just learned like bass lines from like songs. But understanding like music theory, I've been actually like really getting pretty good on bass in terms of like kind of like soloing, because like chordal tones is really easy with bass, because it's like you're in the key of G. The chordal tones in G, it would be like like B, E minor, C, D7, C, and then G again. You know what I mean? So it's like just knowing that in that key, you could basically solo on the bass, because you know exactly where it's going to go. And then like with the progression of the song, each of those tones have like different, like it's like a path. You know what I mean? It's like a walking bass. You know,
I understand bass, and I think I understand what you mean by the chordal tone thing now. It's like bass is usually gonna, because like bass players don't usually solo. They're gonna be the root and the foundation of the song. And
right.
Bass players. If I had any recommendation of bass playing that I've noticed, because I'm not a bass player, but as a producer, I create bass lines and all that stuff with the piano.
Right.
But I know that the relative minors and majors inside everything is what keeps things interesting. Like if I'm playing a C chord, right? That's the upper extension, and as a bass player, you're going to think of the relative, below where your octaves. And so if I'm playing C, I could play an A, and all of a sudden it changes into A minor. The bass changes the chord.
It's like, for example, it's probably going to be like terrible, like in terms of how I'm going to do it, but like with a walking bass, it'd be like bum 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 ba dum bum, and you're just walking those relative chordal tones in the progression of the song.
Yeah, you're
you know
outlining.
What I mean? In terms of like a walking bass.
You're outlining the triad, so it's like right, and then the bass would be
Exactly, man. See, I love that, man. I love that stuff, man.
It's just walking stuff. But yeah.
Yeah, man. Another question. So I've been working on some tunes and stuff like that, and I was wondering if it would be cool, like if I could send you them, and then just you give me some advice, like some counseling on it. Like I don't want to like impose on you and be like,
send it. I'll check it out. I'll tell you if it sucks or if it's good.
Yeah, basically, yeah, like, no, I'm serious, yeah, like, for real, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, send it.
Sweet. Heck yeah, man. Yeah, I mean, like, that's kind of like all I had on my mind.
Well, sweet,
well,
man.
Thank you, Dan.
Yeah.
Appreciate you calling, brother.
Thanks, Dane.
Thanks, man. Peace.
We'll talk to you soon.
Have a
Later,
good one,
brother. All right. Let's see if we missed anybody else. All right, Victoria, Jen, ladies in the chat. Let's hear from the ladies. Equal opportunity. Steven, I learned guitar first. I was able to play piano because I knew guitar. It's all about the ear. As long as you can hear it.
Yeah, it's about the scales. If you can, and everybody knows do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. Excuse me. But if you know that and you learn that scale, because if you learn a major scale, then you've already learned a minor scale in a different key. So if you learn C major, then you've also learned A minor. Just the difference is that you're starting on a different key. But notice that because C is in all the white notes, so is A minor. So it's the same thing. And so, especially on guitar, if you learn the major scale and the minor scale, then you've learned it in all the keys, because the pattern doesn't change. The piano is a little more tricky because the pattern changes, the half steps and whole steps. And what makes a major scale is because chromatically, right, if you're just going it up like a ladder, like this, if you go up right next to the next note, that's called a half step. If you go up and skip that to the next one, that's a whole step. So you got a half step and a whole step. So a major scale is a whole step, half step, whole step, whole step, whole step, half step. So there's 2 half steps in a major scale. And there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 whole steps. 5 whole steps, 2 half steps. And if you start anywhere on the piano, right, and you follow that, whole step, half step, whole step, whole step, whole step, half step. You get the same thing. And that has a relative minor too. Same scale. They live inside the scales.
So different scales would have a different note that would complement it that you can play alongside it to kind of change it.
Well, if it's like inside whatever you're creating, a scale is basically a boundary, right? You're creating if you're creating a universe and you're God, right? You're going to create the laws of the land. So the laws of the land are the scale that you're playing. So I'm choosing a major scale, right? And because it's not playing all these notes, it's playing all these notes. That means that those are my boundaries, and I'm not going to play any of these other notes. So whatever patterns I can come up with, so I could play. And you just create different. You could do like a suspended major, second suspended. You could alternate, so
within the boundaries that you place.
Yeah, you could only use, and you never want to. You could. How do you explain it? It's just within this scale that you choose, and you could do anything. You could be like, all right, I'm going to make a song only using these notes, right? That's a different scale now. So if I played only those notes, I could play anything. You know? I don't know how to explain it. But I was thinking of creating a little couple videos or some kind of like subscription-based thing to teach the way I see music, because I never liked music from the sense of when I did take lessons, it was way too hard to understand for me. And so because over the years I've been able to trim the fat in how I see it and just kind of apply the things that are simple for me to understand. Like, it's basically a bunch of shapes. You can create shapes and then keep the consistency of a shape. Like, so within the scale, if you think of it as like a triad is like a triangle, because it has three corners, right? You got the left, the top, and the right, and that's a triad. So you got a triangle, and if you move that triangle up the scale, then you're staying consistent within that shape, right? And so you could be like, all right, I'm going to make a triangle and a square, and you can alternate from triangle to square, right? A square would be 4 corners, so you could play 1, 2, 3, 4, right? There's a square. So you can play triangle, square, triangle, square, triangle, square, triangle, square. As just an example, you know, you create all kind of shapes, and however you want to look at it. You know those weird triangles too that are like, you know, it's like ba ba, and then it's like it comes off over here. It's like so it's like I could think of a suspended chord as like one of those triangles. Yeah,
Matt Kruger says you should charge for lessons.
that's why I should, man, because I need the money, man. I need the cash. 877 cash now.
Black Toria is in the chat. Are you gonna call in? We got the line open. Line is open. Anyone want to call? Call that number in the description below. Do it. Come on. Do it.
Pros and cons. The world blames dad when it's really your mom.
That's a great explanation, she says.
Who's she?
Black Toria. And Benjamin says you can break the rules, but only if you know what the rules are. Stephen agrees. Right on, Trevor. I never had lessons, but I know what you mean. Yeah,
See, the thing about the piano is the notes don't bend, right? And a voice, if you sing an octave like right? I can go with a voice. I can go and I can bend up that scale. But with the piano, you can't bend the notes, so you'd have to play chromatic, right? That's the closest way I can bend. So breaking the rules is really just thinking of like a voice. So it's like if singing a song, you go you bend it. You could do the same thing on piano, right? You just have to create that bend. So that's really how I see it. Is that within the scale you have the notes that are outside of the scale are just basically like little journeys away from the scale, and then they can bring you back. So it's like if I'm going to stay in C, right, and I'm going to play a chord progression from C, right, I'm going to play a 2, a 5, and a 1, right? So if I want to implement chords outside of the scale, it's timing, right? So if the chords are 2, 2, 3, 4, 5, 2, 3, 4, 1. So I'm not going to miss those beats, right? Those are going to be the beats. So I'm going to play a 2, and then I can, right? So those other chords that were outside, they're like neighbors. So the 2, the 5, and the 1, right? Each one of those tones that I'm going to has a neighbor to the right and a neighbor to the left. The 2 has a half step up, right? Up there. And the 2 also has a half step down. So if I'm going to go up, like, right? The neighbor, before I go to the 2, I can go to the neighbor. Or I can do minor. So you got major or minor. So what I did was I went 2, 5, 1, 2, 3, right? I can go the 5, right? It leads to, because it's next to it. It creates more tension. So, and then the 1, but I can go up a half step. And the neighbor to the left could be, the 2 would be, because we got, right? That 2 has a neighbor over here and a neighbor over there. So the neighbor over there would be, and the 5 and the neighbor over here would be, instead of. So if I just use the neighbors on the left, it would be, as opposed to. Does that make sense?
It gives you alternate paths that will make sense.
Yeah, and the timing of when to use it, because I'm still not changing the rhythm of when I'm landing there. I still want to be 2, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. Right? They're all in the downbeats. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. So I never want to miss those ones, right? So I'm gonna go 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, right? And so you use all that space in between because it's dead time, right? To keep it interesting. And you can go on adding all these kind of different things in between, but as long as you get to those ones, it makes sense. Like, you know, you could add, because I'm using this neighbor on the 5, right? I could create the neighbor of the neighbor. I could go, if you wanted, just as an example, it's an easy example.
It's kind of like math.
It's
There's
just
set ways.
it's however you make it work to lead you back to. That's why I'm saying about the boundaries and the order, because the order of the song is that it's that's the universe string, right? That's the song is that chord progression. So the song is there. You don't want to disrupt that, because that's just the outline of it. So within that outline, you can add stuff, different colors and stuff. Like I was talking about, if a 2 chord is just a minor chord, right, with a 7 on it, because 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So it has a 7 on there, right? So I can create different, the 1, 3, and the 5, right? The 5, I could raise the 5. And that creates a passing note to get to the 5. So it could be... Same thing. 1, 3, 5, 5. I'm not changing anything in the about the being major or minor. It's still a 2, a minor 2, a major dominant 5, and a 1 chord, right? So the 2, I could play. Changing the colors that are on those and then filling in the gaps. And if you don't know music, you probably don't know what the hell I'm talking about. But if you know a little bit of music, it might sound a little familiar to you. You might be like, hey, I kind of understand what you're saying. Because it took me a long time to really let the dust settle and see things more clearly. But I was always a seeker of trying to find out why. Like, why? And I think that's why I'm like that with, you know, life in general beyond music, is because I want to see why. What's the root of it? And that's why I've been drawn to good and evil, because the root of everything is the spirit of good and evil. And all the other stuff is just like, I got to understand the root first. So I know with music, it starts with one note, and then in the root of that, you stack on top of it. So you want to be grounded with what you're starting with.
The framework.
Yeah, exactly.
Matt says it's painting a picture with sound. Same as oils and color. It steps up or down, light or dark or clear.
Exactly, it's the
Okay.
same stuff, man.
Plays out in the head and then flows out the hands, down the brush.
And where's my addiction?
I relate.
Matt Kruger, what's up, bro?
We got a super chat from Brian. Thank you, Brian. Said thanks for taking my call earlier, bro.
Thanks, Brian.
No problem. Thank you for calling in, man. And again, happy birthday to your son.
Yeah.
And yeah, just keep enjoying the music.
For your son, how's it go? Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Brian's son, Brian's son. Happy birthday to you.
Happy birthday. No, Victoria, I do not play piano, but these hands can do it loud. But no, he's been giving me like little lessons and how to use your fingers and.
Pow! You learned that.
So.
And the reason why fingering is important,
Ladies.
is because you want to set yourself up so in the long run it gets your muscle memory used to it and it becomes easier. Because if you learn how to walk in a funny way, you're going to walk funny your whole life. But if you know how to, you know, use your fingers properly, it's going to eventually set you up to where it's easier. Because the key is allowing every finger to have a purpose. You know, a lot of people that don't really play the piano or try to play the piano, there's always 1 or 2 fingers that are lazy and they sit off on the side, and people will just use like 3 or 4 fingers. They'll be like, the pinky will be up like this, it'll be like, and this finger over here is useless. And you want to give purpose to each finger, you know? And so when you use every single finger, it becomes easier because they all serve a purpose in there. Each finger is right where they need to be, man. They're in their home.
Yeah, well, I learned how to play guitar without lessons, and I'm not that good at all, but it's the same problem I had. I taught myself chords based on tablature, but no one ever gave me tips on where to put the fingers, which ones to prioritize, or which finger does what work. So I would find myself using the same couple fingers, and some were useless, weak, couldn't hold down a string, so I'd have to try and work out and get those little tools.
And once you learn and get your body used to that muscle memory of doing it wrong, then it creates more, it's more difficult to unlearn what you did wrong and then go back to what's right because you're already used to doing it wrong.
Oh, yeah, it wasn't Brian's son. Sorry, it was the other one. First caller son happy birthday.
crap.
But Brian was the Amish.
Ah.
Either way, happy birthday to the other caller. And then thank you, Brian. Benjamin. It was Benjamin's son.
Alright, here we go. One more time. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, Benjamin's son. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday and the crowd goes mild.
So, Blacktoria, I'm not sure if I missed your call, but she was supposed to call in. Let me see. No, she hasn't called in. Don't be fearful. Hit that call line. 818-308-5559. Article 4, Section 4. My daughter was born on the 14th. Well, that just passed. Happy birthday to your daughter. Happy birthday. Brian from
The
Kansas.
phone's ringing.
There we go. We got a caller. Ashley Victoria, you're on the air.
To accept, press 1. To send a voicemail,
Oh, here we
press
go.
2.
Wait, hold on.
Blacktoria, you're on the air.
It's me.
Just come on down.
Woo!
How's it going, guys?
Good. How are you doing?
It's going.
I'm doing well. I didn't want to call in and change the subject because I was enjoying Trevor's music lesson right there.
Oh, it's all good.
Yeah, don't worry about it.
It's better you did. That way I don't give away free lessons.
Yeah, now you owe him $5.
I was sitting here thinking like, I would splice that video up and sell that online so fast, but that's just
Nah,
me,
if anybody's interested in learning what I just taught, I'm sure you could find a free video on YouTube already. Like, if you seek, you will find, you know?
Yeah, that's so true. If you look hard enough, like everything's on YouTube.
Exactly. If you ask the right questions, you will get the right answers.
So true. All right. Well, I had a question.
Shoot.
And I wanted to, I'm not going to take too much time tonight, but I guess there's no natural way to segue into this conversation. Richard, beard dude, would you care to, tell the folks about
Oh yeah. So
what we were discussing a little earlier?
I saw this video. It was pretty interesting, and it had a little funny edit. But basically, it was Sean Connery from a video with Barbara.
I wish we could play the video.
Yeah, I can hold it up to the screen. I might as well.
Yeah.
All right, hold on, Victoria. I'm gonna see if I can play this video at the same time as I have you on. So
Give the folks some context.
yeah, so that way you guys see what I was talking about. Okay. So it looks like, well, no, it won't let me play it with the sound. Okay. Are you still there, Victoria?
I'm here.
Okay, so we'll just have to explain it. So there's a video with Barbara Walters and Sean Connery. She's interviewing him, and I guess he had previously said, I think it was like 1987, she was, you can tell she was in her feelings about it. She's like, you previously said in an interview that you thought it was
There's a right time.
was the right time to slap a woman, and that you would not use a closed fist but an open hand.
And I'll say for myself, I don't advocate for anybody to be physical around. All right.
Yeah.
So don't try to use
This
this
is- yeah.
against me.
This is just, you gotta be open and talking about everything, have no feelings. But anyway, Sean Connery immediately told her, and he's calm the whole time, he wasn't angry about it. He just said, I haven't changed my opinion. I still feel the same way. Barbara Walters then said, so you think it's good? So she starts putting words in his mouth. And he says, no, I don't think it's good. Then she says, so you think it's bad? And he says, well, I don't think it's that bad. And he goes on to explain that women, they just don't know when enough is enough, and they don't know how to let things lie. And that they have this way that they can just keep pushing the issue. And that even when you give them the last word, that they just want to put themselves in a provocative situation. And then she asked him, what makes it right? Is it ever right? And he says, well, if that is the case, and it's an extreme case of her kind of freaking out, then that would be the right time for him to slap the girl he's with.
And I didn't know Sean Connery was that.
Yeah, he's pretty straightforward and blunt. So I sent it to a few friends. I thought it was interesting, and it's a funny thing to talk about and get some different opinions. So what was your opinion on that, Victoria?
Okay, remember how I said I feel 50% about this, right? I'm
Yeah.
50-50.
What's the 50% that you agree with?
After careful consideration, I realized that part of why I was okay with what he was saying was because he was so sure of himself. He asserted his point almost as if we should already know that this is natural. This is how it should be. Right? So,
His calmness put you at ease?
He had conviction.
I'm not going to say exactly what it did, but yeah, it did some things. And I was like, oh, that's an interesting response. Huh. I'm supposed to be mad right now, but I'm not.
No, see, that's one
And it
thing
was
I
like-
admire about you, Victoria, is that you can talk about anything and you don't get in your feelings and be like, because you're a woman, and if you know, it's like just like if somebody criticizes men, like I don't take it personal because I don't, even though I am a man, I'm not all men, you know. So I think I'm not going to get in my
Wait, what
feelings.
parts aren't? Wait, you said you're not all man?
No, all men.
I'm not all men.
Yeah, so he
You
can't.
know, so
yeah,
I
so,
don't
Oh, I'm
identify-
like, wait, what?
No, I'm saying that when people say men are like this or that, I don't take it personal because first off, you can't really categorize a whole group of people as guilty or innocent of anything. And I'm just saying I admire about you is that you don't seem to get in your feelings. Maybe you do, but you just don't show it.
yeah,
but-
you keep your composure, and you're always open to different subjects that most people who are women wouldn't even be the time
It's
of day.
better to be objective to what's being said and sit back and not
Yeah.
hold on to it and feel some kind of way.
Yeah.
So you
I
agree?
can definitely.
You agree
Oh,
with
go
Sean,
ahead.
you agree with Sean Connery 50% because he seemed very sure of it, and that it's almost like you said, it's almost as if it is true and you just didn't realize it.
Right, because there are times that I don't want to say there are times that women should get slapped, but my disagreement was that I don't know that a woman should be slapped. I think that they can be shaken a little bit.
Shaken,
you know?
not stirred.
God, this sounds so terrible. Why do I call in and discriminate myself? This is what I'm thinking though. If I were like getting into an argument, I wouldn't want to get an open hand slap across the face. That's just that's drastic, you guys. But I mean to grab a girl and just kind of shake her and let her know like, hey, you're not running this.
When you
That's
what
okay.
was it?
I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
When you asked me like what I thought it would be appropriate, I told you. I mean, I've never had to slap a girl in my life, but
That was my next question.
if I had to think of when, it might be useful in Sean Connery's case. I could say maybe if it's like a life or death serious thing and she's freaking the hell out and it's going to make the situation worse. Someone breaking into the house and she's not staying calm, giving away your position, something like that, and you need her to snap back like a cold shower in an instant and not make the situation any worse. So maybe a little smack across the face might snap her out of it. I'm not saying you should, but I'm
So
trying to think.
you
I'm trying to
saying
think.
more of a friendly pat, like, hey, ah.
No, I mean, maybe enough to get her to calm down and come out of it. If I'm trying to find an example based on Sean Connery.
Oh God, no. I should not be laughing at this right now. No, because the thing is, it's so funny to me because I know, I can picture you doing that. That's why it's cracking me up so bad. But it's kind of like that scene in Airplane. I don't remember if it was a girl or a guy, but they were like freaking out in the seat and like
Yeah,
everybody
he
was like
slapped him.
lining up to smack the crap out of that person.
Yep.
That was hilarious. But,
Well, here's a thought. A lot of some people think that it's okay to smack their children. Like when I grew up, my mom carried a wooden spoon around in her purse. And when me and my sister would fight, we wouldn't stop. She'd pull out the wooden spoon and smack our legs in the car. She'd reach in the back and smack us. And we stopped. I don't think it was the right thing to do. But eventually we'd see that she'd pull out the wooden spoon and she wouldn't have to smack us. Because we would stop right away. So, there are those people that still believe that, just a little swat will bring you back. And if in the order of life, as they say, a man should ultimately kind of be the father of her, love her in that kind of way.
Yeah, give her father's love and guidance.
Does that put that in that kind of role? But
I agree. I mean, I try to give you an example when I think it could work based on, if I had to think of an example for Sean Connery. But I also said that if you were doing it right and you married the right person, you lived right as a man, you shouldn't have to do that.
I was going to say, exactly.
She should follow you, and if she does freak out, it shouldn't take much more than maybe raising your voice a little bit, being firm and blunt, and that dad stare. You just give her that look.
But there's evil people, man, and that's the thing is that there's women that are very condescending, manipulative, and they want to hurt you and destroy you. And I'm not advocating saying you should slap them, but I just don't underestimate people in the world that it's like I can't comprehend a reason to slap somebody, but I know that there's people out there that might need to be slapped. Men too,
Well, it's like women included, right?
Not
men and women.
Yeah, not specific to anybody, but sometimes it's like, man.
If you're acting nuts, sometimes you just need a good slap.
Slap them to reality, at least the idea of it. It's like not, maybe you won't really do it, but it's like, damn, somebody slap that person, slap that baby.
Oh my gosh, okay, I can definitely think of times where I probably could have used the slapping, but I don't know if it would have helped anything, to be honest. But, okay, so when it comes to children, though, do you guys notice that it's usually the mom that is dishing out that kind of physical, what do they call it, corporal punishment?
Yeah, my mom was brutal.
Right, and it's like they literally are taking out every ounce of frustration that they have on you, almost as if it's not even reserved for you. Like, you can feel that that's somebody else. Like, that's not even this isn't my beating. This is somebody else's.
Yeah, she beats you for all the other problems.
No, I feel that, because my mom, in a sense, I know that she resented my dad a lot of times. And I also know that me and my sister would fight, and we wouldn't stop. I was teasing my sister. My sister was reacting, stop, and so I know, but at the same time, I know my mom might have had some internal frustrations that had nothing to do with us, that maybe contributed to her release of frustration.
Yeah, I think a man's his default, when he's not in that fallen state and emotional, he's naturally a little more, he's less abusive. My dad only had to spank me, if ever. Maybe the belt, 1 or 2 smacks, if that, or just his voice was enough to be like, all right, I'm done, I'll drop it.
If I'm playing the piano and I keep messing up on a song and my hand just keeps not doing it right, I gotta smack my hand to bring it back. All right.
Yeah.
Now knows.
Sometimes you do just need that little jolt to bring you back into that moment. But for Richard, okay, I do have a question because I've personally never been hit by my father.
Yeah.
But what's that experience like? Did you get the sense that your dad almost didn't even want to do it, or do you, what was that experience like? I know that sounds like a crazy question, but I'm just curious of how a child responds to their father when they punish them that way.
I was more scared of my father. Like, my mom's beatings were definitely worse, but my dad, when I was wrong, I knew I was wrong, so I didn't feel bad for what I got. I always felt like, that's fair. I was never mad at him for when he dished it out, because it was always appropriate. It was never overboard. Like I said, it was be a spank, or get in the house, go to your room, and if it was really bad, like breaking a neighbor's window and lying about it, which happened, then go grab a switch and then a couple whacks on the ass and that's that, and then go pay off the debt and get that window fixed. So it was more fair. So it didn't bother me.
Yeah, there was a few times when I would get the belt or whatever, and it was always, demanded by my mom ordering my dad to do it, and I never really put the focus on hating or resenting my parents for it, because I always felt the sense of guilt of some reason why I knew that I was wrong and that I did something to deserve it. It was never to, it wasn't because I wasn't, if I did get hit or whatever, it was because I did do something to have that happen. Not saying that being hit is right, but in my mind, I did resent getting hit, but I didn't think that my mom hated me or my dad or anything about that. I knew that I did something to create that to happen. I'm like, well, I did do that.
Did I answer the question, Victoria?
Yeah, that answers it, because I think with moms it does get lost with the child, because I could say for myself, it's the meaning of the beating or the slapping totally was lost on me. I'm like, that wasn't that bad, but okay, I'll take it. You're the only one I got here, so it's cool.
If you get,
I was curious about that.
If God adds a husband to your life, do you now think that you should be the one to punish your children, if at all?
I can't envision myself actually punishing my kids. I don't see it in my head, because like you guys say, and I'm starting to realize it myself, it's like the guy is the head of the household, or just the head of everything. So really, there's already I guess you could call it a fear, respect, whatever it is. There's already this inherent knowing that you just don't cross that line with dad, not only because he is your father, like he's over you, but it's because you actually respect him, like you don't want to disappoint him. He has rules, he has a law in the house, and you just don't want to break that. For some reason, I know that inside, that's how it would probably have been for me.
And I like to see.
We know how to respond to the energy.
Yeah. Yeah, the whole terminology of saying he's over you. I like to, my wife, I'll definitely, hopefully put her in a position of looking at as being a certain way that where I'm not over her, but she looks up to me. She looks up to me.
Reframe
because she respects me, but it's not that I'm over her, it's that she looks up to me. And I think that with real love, that's the way it should be, instead of a power ego struggle of fear. I don't want her to fear me, and I feel like saying, I'm over somebody is kind of authoritarian. But I hope that I'll be an example enough to where she just will respect me naturally and want to look up to me and seek, what I would say or what my word is, because she respects me. But that's just me.
Yeah. So do you guys feel that you're at a point in your journey right now that a woman could look up to you?
Yeah, I think
so.
Yeah, I think that any woman that even if they're just a friend, if I'm hanging out, whatever, I'm going to speak up my mind and say what I think. And I don't want to treat a woman or a man any different. I want to just be myself, because I don't think any special treatment is necessary based on any gender. I think that that's part of the problem, is a lot of these simpy guys, they'll hang around a girl and all of a sudden they're extra nice and they're like, oh, let me help you. Of course I'm a fan of chivalry. I'm a fan of chivalry across the board with anybody. If I'm walking into a building or something and someone's behind me, I'm going to get the door for whoever it is. It's just a courtesy act, But when I hang out with my girlfriends or anybody, a woman, whatever, I'm just being myself. And I speak up and say what I think is true. And, because a woman is naturally more emotional, she might have opposing views about stuff. And so when I speak, and say, well, hey, I think you're wrong about this, or hey, you shouldn't be angry, or, you're in your feelings about it, that's the kind of way that I would be with my wife. And I think that the one that I will end up with will be the one that recognizes that I'm coming from that place of love, and that she can acknowledge and see that, and so she'll want to see that I'm an addition to her life, and that I can help her overcome her emotions. And but it's not specifically like I'm going to treat my lady any different than any other lady or any other person.
Yeah, I would say yes to your question, that I think, I'd be, if I was to get married, I think she'd be all right looking up. Doesn't mean, I look at it like if I for example, if you're driving and I take the wrong turn because I thought this would be the exit you should take to wherever we're going, maybe I'm wrong and it's the wrong exit. It's one exit too soon. I'm not that person where I would now judge myself for it or get my feelings about it. Nothing's gonna be a big deal. So if there is a misstep, there is no anger with it anymore. And I think that's more key than anything. And then you grow into it, and maybe you won't make as many of those missteps. But I don't think there's any more anger attached. And I think that if you can do that, then I think you're ready for marriage. I think.
What if she gives you crap for making the wrong turn? We're good for that. Women love doing that stuff.
Oh, then you slap her.
Oh, God.
No, I thought of that when you said that. Because I'm the type of person where I can laugh and be like, oh, you know, I missed that turn. Damn it. Or I'll make a joke about it or something. But it's not like, hopefully I won't, you know, have a woman that's like going to be all pissy about it and be like, I told you so, you didn't listen to me. Like that kind of attitude. But it's like, I can admit when I make a mistake or something.
Here's a comment, Victoria. Steven says, sometimes the beat down don't shape you into what they're hoping for. It only makes it worse.
Meaning the guy beating down the girl?
I think it was about the parents beating their kids. It doesn't always. It ends up. The children will become what you feared. You know, you're trying to beat them out of it, and you end up pushing them towards that direction.
Yeah, that's true, because they just want to be rebellious and all that kind of stuff. And half the time, like I said, if it is the mother's rage, kids know deep inside that the mom is just flying off the handle. A kid doesn't have the words to express what that is, but they know that mom is not right. They know that there's something more going on. But like I said again, they can't articulate it. But I was just thinking, what with the whole wrong turn thing? What if the guy goes like 50 miles out of the way? That's totally happened to me before.
No, that's happened to me before, right? With my ex-girlfriend. My ex-girlfriend, I went to visit my dad in Oregon, and we drove like a couple hours, you know, back to LA. We stopped and got food, and the freeway, getting on the freeway was like a winding freeway. And I got back, and we were driving back, and I was like, oh man, like these trees look familiar. And we went back to the cabin almost, and then it was like, but it was no big deal. It was a laugh thing. It was like, what an idiot. Like, oh man, I can't believe I did that.
Yeah, that was a couple
and
hours, so that was
at
least 60 miles.
I turned around and I was like, well, it is what it is. We're here, and if we're not going to be like upset, like, you know, it's the drive. We just got a couple more hours. So
yeah.
Whatever. It didn't affect anything, and it was fine. You know?
You should have a laugh, and if she cracks on you, you should be sharp enough to crack back at her, but with no anger, and then you just get back on the right track and get to your destination.
Okay, I'm going to tell you about a scenario, and obviously this is back when I guess I used to rage a little bit, not going to lie. Okay, so long story short, we were my boyfriend at the time was taking me on a trip, and we lived together and all that stuff, you know, beta stuff, and we take my car. So at first I'm like, okay, this is not a surprise. We're taking my car. What the hell? This is already messed up. But I just let it slide.
And
okay,
you drove?
It's cool. That's the first. No, he said I'm gonna drive us, and then I'm like, okay, well, which car are we taking? And he's like, oh, well, babe, we're taking yours. Like, what? This is not the surprise you had for me. Like, what?
Did he drive like a crappy car? Is that why?
No, like I think he had. I don't remember the year of the car, but he drove a Monte Carlo, so maybe he didn't want to like burn the gas or whatever. But he was always paranoid about that car. But I will admit, anytime we did road trips, we did take my car because it was newer. So all right, I'll give him that. But it was still just stupid the way he did it. And then we're driving, right? It's like after work, it's the evening, and we live down in San Diego. So he's like, oh, you know, we're just gonna drive. It's gonna be a surprise. I'll let you know, like, you know, where we're going when we get there. So the drive there was beautiful. Like, you could see the stars, all that kind of stuff. But then we get to our destination, which was Arizona. And I'm like, okay, this is so romantic. This is amazing. And I'm like, okay, well, where are we staying? Radio silent. I'm like, dude, are you serious? Like, we drove all the way out here, and we're just here. Where are we sleeping tonight? And he literally had no plan. He said,
wow.
Well, I just thought that by the time we get here, we'll be able to find a room somewhere. I'm like, dude, really? We didn't get here till like 10:30, 11 o'clock at night because you got lost and because we're driving my car and because we're just driving around aimlessly. What do we do now? So stuff like that, it's like, should the girl give him grief or should she just say, okay, babe, it's cool? Like, what
I mean, first of all, you were dating a beta.
Exactly. That's what I was gonna say. Is
It
it's
all
like
goes
it
back
is
to
what
that.
it is. You know, a frog's a frog. A cow's a cow.
Yeah, so I mean, really, that was the result no matter what. But if you were dating the right guy, then it probably wouldn't have been that bad. You might have had the wrong turn, but it wouldn't have been just one bad thing after another.
And I don't think it's wrong for women to say the truth. Like if they say it's true, the thing about it is the nagging over and over and over again. It's like
Yeah.
speak up and say your piece.
Yeah.
Like Sean Connery said,
And
they
then
just
that's
can't
it.
let it go.
And then that's it. Like, you know, like if something is true, like the sky is blue whether I say it or not. So saying the truth is like, I'm a fan, you know, like I can admit when I'm wrong and true is true. And I like to have somebody that isn't afraid to speak up too and will say their piece of what they say. See, I don't want to hear their perspective on things, but at the end of the day, they're going to trust, you know, like they're going to trust that what I'm saying is correct if it's correct. And if she's right, she's right, you know, but it's just the nagging and over and over. I told you so. Well, you didn't listen to me. Like that kind of thing.
And I do think, though, some men in, you know, like in our age range, like millennials, they're used to having that nagging mother, so they're okay with their woman doing that. Sure, they get upset and irritated, but it's very familiar to them, so they do feel that it's normal. So
They're
I
dating
do
their
see a
mom.
lot of that, you know?
Yeah, they want that, even though they might say they don't like it. There's a reason why they're attracted to that, because they haven't overcome their mom.
Right, and that's just something that's so difficult to tell somebody. Like that's when when I was telling you about the Facebook comments you guys were leaving today, I was dying laughing because I'm like, okay, Richard, they don't get what you're saying. They don't understand yet. Like you tell somebody they're angry and they're like, no, I'm not mad. I'm not yelling. Like they think that's anger, you know?
Right,
So
and then they like to.
It's a hard concept.
Yeah, they love to try and flip it back on you, and I try to. You know, with comments, obviously, online, you can't hear someone's voice or their tone. But I'm super calm when I'm writing back these things. And I try to stick with the facts initially. But if they, start going to insults or accusing you of things or insinuating stuff, it's like, all right, well, gloves are off. Let's get down and dirty. But, I'm doing it without getting bothered. And what ends up happening is usually they try and joke with you, and the second you come back with a better comeback, you get blocked. It just always happens. They run away and block you. So they really did have anger because they couldn't hang there and go toe to toe with the jokes.
Right, I got you. It does end up getting cut off, but it makes me crack up. So thanks for the content. That was great. And just so we're clear, I'm still a bit 50-50 because I think if back to the original point, if the guy is alpha, which Sean came across very alpha in that video.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be opposed to being slapped by somebody like that.
Yeah, I mean, exactly.
You kind of like some girls like that stuff.
It's all right. Okay, you're right. I was wrong.
There's something about that. Like he's very sure of it. Yeah, he was very sure of it. You could tell he wasn't mean or being angry or hateful, and he just says it. You never know. The situation may merit it. It doesn't mean you're going to use it all the time.
And the times like growing up as a kid, like it was more traumatizing for me to experience the anger and the just that angry spirit that like with my mom in a sense of like when you could tell that she was just angry, she had that resentment, and with verbal abuse, that was more hurtful than it was to get a swift smack with the spoon.
Oh yeah.
Like like looking back on things, it's like I don't have any resentments. I've forgiven and I realize certain things, but it's like there's something about that spirit of anger that is more traumatizing than just a swift slap.
Yeah, the beatings I forgot about those right away, even in that fallen state. But the words, those hang around forever.
And it's that mean face of doing it like, yeah, I couldn't wait to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, you guys are absolutely right. Because I was trying to think about like did my mom ever hit me? I'm sure she did, because my grandmother would say that. Like, she would kind of remind us as we were growing up. And I remember thinking, Grandma, I don't even remember that, you know? But I can remember the first time my mom called me the B word. I can remember all of that stuff, you know? Like, I can literally tell you what age I was every time she said something for the first time, you know? So you're right when you say the mental abuse, and they don't realize they're doing it, and that's how I know they really, they just don't know any better. So that's why it obviously took a lot of us until we were like in our 30s to forgive our moms. But it's the past. But it's definitely a spirit that we see, and I hope, I pray for you guys out there, because you guys are infected with the spirit now too. It's not just as women. So it's a beast. It's something that we really got to learn to deal with. So,
yeah, the power is in the man.
I hope I made this stream very heavy. I hope I came through with my little dark cloud and rained on everybody tonight.
Yeah, Benjamin has some advice for the ladies. He says, if a man says he'll do something, he'll do it. You don't have to nag him every 6 months to get it done. And another one from Flip, it says, the word beat implies violence. Discipline is good and comes in many forms. Violence is never acceptable. It's balanced out by a well-rounded, good relationship in all other areas. Respect! And then Matt Kruger brings it home. Victoria says, sometimes you gotta beat a horse into submission. Sometimes a good whack on the butt makes them think twice. So, give him that old Sean Connery slap.
I've never been with a girl that didn't like a slap on the butt anyway, so.
Yeah. Little, touch on the tush.
You guys, I have so many stories for you. I can't even tonight, but I agree with Matt. Sometimes a horse does have to be beat into submission.
That's right. How do you break a wild horse? If you want to ride that horse, you got to break its spirit.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm saying. It takes a real man to know that that's the solution right there.
That's right.
A lot of guys will sit there and they'll yell at you and they'll go back and forth, and it's like you're arguing with a woman, because he doesn't know. All right, I got to beat this one into submission. And again, it's not always physically. It's just asserting his presence, so we know, oh, this guy means business.
Yeah, you gotta get that devil out of her.
Some of you guys at church, I'm like, oh, okay, I should probably go back and reevaluate what I just said. Okay.
I think that sums it up, though. I think that, because the question was, is it ever okay to slap a woman? And I think that it is okay to slap a woman on her ass. Because I've never, like, any woman I've slapped on the ass, they've always said, harder.
You guys are too much. Okay, last question, and I'll let you go. Do you guys think that you will physically discipline your children?
I think that I would hope that if I'm living right, doing the right thing, I wouldn't need to. It would come across the right way. It would come through in my voice, and I'd find the correct punishment. And kind of like what I learned from Jesse, that if we do it right from the beginning, you don't have to overcorrect.
Yeah, usually if they're acting out like that, where they need to be slapped, it's because they're acting out as a result of the way you have been, reacting to them acting out, and it's gotten out of hand. But I agree. I think that we should, create a cause and effect situation so that at a young age they can see that when this happens, this happens. So I don't necessarily think it means, to abuse them or slap them or hit them, but, timeouts or who knows. I don't have kids yet I don't want to say what I will or won't do, but I'll know in that moment what I should do.
And plus the kid's he's gonna learn real quick after he sees mama get slapped around. He'll be like, I don't want that.
Like, that's just how we do things. Like, son, your dad is right. I deserve that. Now go to your room.
Exactly. Victoria gets
guys.
it. Thank you, Victoria. That was an amazing call.
Good. Yeah, I'm gonna get back to work here. It was a nice little break. Yeah, thanks for clearing that up. And guys, they are not woman beaters. Everybody.
That's right.
They're good people.
We love them.
All right, you guys have a good night.
Bye.
All right, bye.
A great call from Blacktoria. That was a good call. Catherine Payne, love that call, Victoria. You rock. Yeah, she does rock. She's a rare It's refreshing. That's why we want her to be on the show more often. And you know, she's one of our close friends that we met through Jesse in church, because she is a woman who can talk about these things, and she still has her own thoughts about it, and she wrestles with it, but she can talk about it. And that's probably the most important thing, is just to talk about it. 'Cause if you're getting your feelings and you can't deal with a conversation, the problem's not the conversation or the person you disagree with. The problem is you. Matt says, I have broke a horse in my hand in the process. Exactly. Women got memory like an elephant. Yeah, they don't forget anything. Forgiveness is the greatest gift to give someone. Benjamin, you are absolutely right. Spankings don't work when they hit puberty. If you have to hit your teenager, you have really messed up. I agree. If you're doing it right, like Trevor said, you should set up that cause and effect. They shouldn't be so unruly that you need to overcorrect them that much by the time they're a teenager. It means you messed up. Absolutely. Yeah, Matt is on point. Matt gets it. So yeah, don't forget, callers, there's a number in the description, 818-308-5559.
818-308-5559. What time is it?
We are 67 minutes in. It is.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how much longer we should be on here.
Yeah, any other callers or questions?
Yeah.
Let us know.
What are they talking about in the chat over there?
Let's see. Victoria, thanks y'all. I am really learning a lot these days. Better late than never. You're welcome. Thank you. Thank you for sharing. That's probably the most important thing. When people hear people having these conversations, it's helpful. Because you think that you're alone and you're the only one that has these issues, and it's universal. Absolutely. Let's see if we missed any questions. If the man already knows he did something wrong, why add to it? Exactly. T-Warrior 1. What's going on, T-Warrior? The bearded dude salutes you. You are saluted. Proper. Alright, well, it looks like the chat has slowed down. I think we're going to go ahead and call on everybody. Thank you guys. Don't forget to hit that like button. Thank you to all 22 plus people who hit it.
Yeah, I appreciate it, you guys, and thanks for hanging with us. And don't forget, pros and cons, pros and cons. The world says it's sad, but it's really your mom. Yeah.
One last comment. Daniel says the physical discipline is also scaled. A tap on the hand going up to spanking depends on the severity of what the child did. So Daniel just says it. Beat your wife, beat your child. Alright guys, good night. Thank you for joining.
Peace.
Peace out. Trevor's gonna take you out with some piano.